Okay, everything starts with these mountains. Spacing them apart from each other to make an actual mountain range. 3 whole days texturing each building by hand and matching every... I started the swirl first. I tried to be so exact with the colors that I found every single stroke that made up the entire background of the sky. I had to somehow make all of this line up so that when I had built everything inside Starry Night, the mountains, the town, the stars, and their exact alignment, it was all complete. Start with this. I was lost, but then it hit me. The question had to be answered. How close could I actually get to the original painting? I think it's worth noting the last time I did something like this. Okay, everything starts with these mountains. The mountains were going to determine the placement of everything, spacing them apart from each other to make an actual mountain range. The plans were a bit more tricky because Van Gogh covered the entire landscape in trees. This is where I ran into my first problem. I had to figure out how I was going to match the colors exactly to Starry Night. Starting with this black blob.
I'm gonna have to build it block for block.
So that's what I did. Over the course of 2 days, I perfectly replicated what I'm now thinking is a tree, then colored it in. The dark green in the original painting translated to just straight black, and I don't think I've ever seen a black tree. Now that I had a reference point in the landscape, I could face what I thought would be the hardest part of this entire build. The trees. You see, this is where things get complicated. How do you make a tree look like paint while still looking like a tree? Eventually I used glass, making everything look fluffy but colorful. Not to mention every single tree lines up with the painting. Every single house I'm making 3D is turning into the weirdest shapes. 3 whole days texturing each building by hand and matching every single brushstroke Van Gogh made so that the town could be as accurate as possible. It's finally time for the centerpiece of this entire painting. The Starry Night. I started the swirl first. I tried to be so exact with the colors that I found myself recreating almost every stroke. But this was just the beginning, because I wasn't just building the stars. I was building everything in between the stars, every single stroke that made up the entire background of the sky. I had to somehow make all of this line up so that when you stood in the exact position, everything fit perfectly into place. The only way I can line this up is by flying back and forth over and over again. I had built everything inside Starry Night down to the final detail. The mountains, the town, the stars, and their exact alignment, it was all complete. How close could I really get to Van Gogh's masterpiece?